Right now, you're sitting in a high-stake boardroom or perhaps staring at a rapidly escalating crisis on your monitor. Your heart rate elevates, your breathing becomes shallow, cortisol is flooding your bloodstream. You attempt to take a deep breath, push through the anxiety, and manage the stress. You believe that your ability to grind through this biological panic is the ultimate proof of your executive resilience? You're operating under a catastrophic, biologically obsolete illusion. Most leaders believe stress is something you manage. But by 2026, managing stress is just a painfully slow path to terminal burnout. What if you could fundamentally bypass your biology to ensure your brain never hits a red zone in the first place? Today, we are hacking the neural feedback loops to completely rewire your executive response under fire. The 2026 landscape has violently changed, and the traditional grit is no longer enough to stay competitive against algorithmic efficiency. We are decoding the internal architecture of the flow state to sustain elite, unshakable output during high-stake pressure. Learn how to master your neural mechanics and keep your decision-making surgically sharp while your competition collapses in a biological panic. There is a hidden biological shortcut to maintaining peak performance that elite operators are using to stay completely ahead of the curve. By manipulating your neural feedback loops, you can actually hack the flow state to prevent cognitive decline during intense stress. This isn't just theoretical psychology. It is the brutal, uncompromising new science of survival. Before I completely deconstruct the fatal flaw of the stress management, expose the exact mechanics of the Amygdala Hijack, and give you the precise architectural blueprint to wire your biological brain for algorithmic calmness, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor and capital market using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these execution protocols. Stop trying to survive your stress. Start engineering your neural response. Grab a notebook. It is time to upgrade your biological heart. Welcome back. I'm Dr. HR. To understand why my approach to the human performance, executive leadership, and biological capital is aggressively different from a soft, comforting advice peddled by a legacy wellness coaches, you must understand my underlying structural logic. I hold a PhD in Human Resources, a master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences TISS in Mumbai, and a bachelor's in Computer Engineering. I do not look at the human brain as a mysterious emotional organ. I look at it as a biological server. When a server is overloaded with data, it experiences thermal throttling and latency. When a human brain is overloaded with stress, it experiences cortisol poisoning and cognitive collapse. Operating on the ground here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for Tier 1 corporate entities, sovereign wealth funds and apex tech founders, I have monitored exactly how the elite 1% process chaos. They do not mediate their way out of a crisis. They execute cybernetic control over their neurology. Let us systematically deconstruct this sovereign biological protocol through 5 distinct phases. The resilience trap, decoding the neural feedback loop, the algorithmic intercept, the value stream mapping the mind, and the sovereign execution. Phase 1, the resilience trap, the provocative challenge. We must first diagnose the exact debilitating vulnerability of how the modern executive approaches corporate pressure. For decades, corporate HR departments and leadership seminars worship the concept of resilience. Resilience is defined as a capacity to recover quickly from difficulty, the ability to spring back into shape. The paradigm dictates that you go into a high-stakes negotiation, you take a heavy psychological damage. You absorb the stress and then you send your weekend recovering so you can do it again on Monday. In a hyper-accelerated 2026 economy, this is the resilience trap. You are relying on resilience. You are accepting that damage is inevitable. You are treating the stress as an external force that you must simply endure. This is mathematically unsustainable. In a world where AI agents execute complex corporate strategies in milliseconds, the human executive cannot afford the latency of recovering from an emotional response. If you are spending your cognitive bandwidth trying to calm your racing heart during a critical Oracle SCM deployment failure, your processing speed drops to 0. Managing stress is a lagging indicator. It means the failure has already occurred. Your amygdala has already hijacked your prefrontal cortex. The cortisol is already destroying your short-term memory and your executive function. You're trying to put out a fire that has already consumed the building. The apex operator does not manage stress. The apex operator ensures the fire never ignites. They do not want to be resilient, they want to be anti-fragile. They want the structural chaos of a corporate environment to actively fuel their cognitive clarity rather than degrade it. To achieve this, you must stop treating your emotional state as an unpredictable weather pattern and start treating it as a programmable loop. Phase 2, decoding the neural feedback loop, the architecture of the panic. To hack the machine, we must understand the semantic of a machine. We must decode the neural feedback loop. A feedback loop in computer science is a system where the output of a process is routed back as an input, creating a continuous cycle of cause and effect. Your biological brain operates on an exact same architecture. When you encounter a high-stake trigger, perhaps an aggressive email from the CEO threatening to cancel your budget, or a catastrophic failure in your global supply chain routing, your brain initiates a sequence. Node 1, the sensory input. Your eyes read the email. The raw data enters your visual cortex. Node 2, the pattern recognition, the amygdala. The data is routed to the amygdala, the primitive alarm system of the brain. The amygdala compares this email to a historical data. It recognizes the pattern of threat. Node 3, the chemical output. The amygdala instantly signals the adrenal gland to release adrenaline and cortisol. Node 4, the biological feedback. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing shallows. Node 5, the cognitive collapse. Your prefrontal cortex, the logical architectural center of your brain, detect the rapid heart rate and the cortisol. It interprets this biological feedback as confirmation that you are in mortal danger. It shuts down the complex multivariable thinking to conserve energy for fight or flight. This is the loop. The input triggers the chemical triggers the physical panic, and the physical panic loops back to convince the logical brain that the world is ending. The amateur allow this loop to run on autopilot. They read the email, their heart races, and their logic collapses. And they send an impulsive, defensive, career-destroying reply. The apex operator understands that this loop has vulnerability. There is a microsecond of latency between node 2, the pattern recognition, and node 3, the chemical output. That microsecond is where the hack exists. That microsecond is where you seize the sovereign control of your own biology. Phase 3, the algorithmic intercept, hacking the flow state. You cannot stop the sensory input. You will receive the hostile email. You will face the boardroom crisis. The secret is not avoiding the trigger. The secret is deploying the algorithmic intercept. This is the hidden biological shortcut to maintaining peak performance. You must program a cognitive if-then statement that overrides the amygdala before the cortisol is ever released. In software engineering, when a system encounters an error, a properly written exception handler prevents the program from crashing. You must install a cognitive exception handler into your mind, the reframe protocol. The amygdala triggers the panic because it intercepts a high stake as a threat to your survival. You must algorithmically reframe the data. Imagine you're leading a $50 million corporate restructuring project in Dubai. During the final presentation to the sovereign wealth fund investor, the primary database crashes. The screen goes black. The amateur's internal code runs. Input, screen black. Pattern, public humiliation. Output, panic, heart rate 130 BPM. The apex operator has rewritten the code. They deploy the algorithmic intercept. Input, screen is black. Pattern, recognized. Intercept. The operator has pre-programmed their brain to view absolute chaos as an ultimate test of their sovereign authority. They have explicitly trained themselves to interpret a systematic failure not as a threat, but as an exact moment their elite compensation is justified. Their internal code runs. Input, screen blacks. Exception, handler. This is not a threat. This is a high visibility leverage opportunity. The investors are watching. If I remain mathematically calm while the technology fails, I prove my unshakable executive dominance. Because the brain interprets the event as an opportunity rather than a threat, the amygdala is bypassed. The cortisol is never released. The heart rate remains at a resting 65 BPM. The prefrontal cortex remains fully powered. You stand in front of an investor, you do not apologize, and you seamlessly pivot to a high-fidelity, unscripted whiteboard deconstruction of the data architecture. You did not manage the stress. You hacked the feedback loop. You turned the biological trigger for panic into an exact biological trigger for a flow state. Phase 4, Value Stream Mapping the Mind, the 2026 Executive Protocol. To make this intercept autonomous, you cannot rely on willpower in the moment. You must systematically engineer it beforehand. You must apply Lean Six Sigma directly to your own neural pathway. You must execute the value stream mapping on the mind. Incorporate Lean Six Sigma, you map every step of a manufacturing process to identify the exact node that is causing latency or defect. You must do this with your emotional triggers. Step 1. The friction audit. Sit down with a notebook and execute a ruthless audit of last 90 days. Identify the exact moment you lost your absolute executive calm. Was it when a specific vice president challenged your data? Was it when a project deadline was unexpectedly compressed? You must identify your specific defect nodes, the exact input that consistently trigger your cortisol loop. Step 2. The root cause analysis. Why does that specific vice president trigger you? The amateur says because he's a jerk. The apex operator digs deeper. He triggers me because his questioning threatens my perceived competence, and my ego is biological tied to being the smartest person in the room. Step 3. Programming the bypass. Once you map the root cause, you write the new line of code. You program the bypass. Let us look at a highly localized, intense reality. You're raising a 5-year-old child while managing a massive corporate mandate. A 5-year-old is an agent of absolute, unpredictable biological chaos. They will melt down precisely when you're preparing for a critical Zoom call. If you allow your traditional neural feedback loop to run, the child screaming triggers your amygdala. You perceive it as a threat to your professional focus. Your cortisol spikes, you snap, you lose your temper. Your biological equilibrium is shattered and you log into your corporate call radiating frantic, aggressive energy. You lose the deal. Now apply the bypass. You map the value stream. You accept that a 5-year-old's meltdown is a fixed, unavoidable environmental variable. It is not a threat. It is just a weather. You write the new code. When the chaos occurs, it is my biological training ground. It is my simulated stress test. If I can maintain absolute serene, unshakable sovereignty while managing the unpredictable emotional matrix of a child, a corporate negotiation with the VP of Finance will be mathematically effortless. You intercept the loop. You manage the child with absolute calmness. Your heart rates never spike, and you transition seamlessly into a Zoom call projecting the terrifying, grounded aura of an operator who cannot be broken by external noise. You have mapped the mind, isolated the defect, and reprogrammed the variable. You have achieved a total biological sovereignty. Phase 5, the sovereign architecture broadcasting competence. We have diagnosed the resilience trap. We have decoded the neural feedback loop. We have deployed the algorithmic intercept, and we have the value stream mapped the mind. The final phase of this protocol is the extraction of leverage. What is the financial and professional value of possessing an unhackable biological brain? You must execute the sovereign architecture. You must broadcast your competence to the market. In the 2026 corporate landscape, technical skills are being commoditized by artificial intelligence. An LLM can write the code, an LLM can generate the legal contract, an LLM can balance the financial ledger. The only unautomatable, highly prized asset left in the global labor market is the human capacity to navigate high-stakes, unscripted, irrational chaos without experiencing cognitive collapse. When you master the neural feedback loop, you possess the ultimate competitive advantage. But you cannot keep it a secret. You must create a high-fidelity proof of work. When the crisis hits your company, when the supply chain fractures, or the AI integration fails, and the rest of your executive team is paralyzed by their own unmanaged cortisol loops, you step into the void. You execute the mitigation protocol with absolute chilling efficiency. But you do not stop there. You document the victory. You step into your acoustic-treated digital environment. You fire up your elite Cineline gear, your Sony FX series camera with flawless lighting. You import the raw data of crisis into the DaVinci Resolve 20, utilizing its advanced node-based architecture to present the matrices cleanly and beautifully. You record a highly structured, unsentimental video essay, deconstructing exactly how the failure occurred and exactly how you architected the solution while the rest of the organization panicked. You broadcast this artifact to your private network, to elite recruiters, and to the global capital market. When a sovereign wealth fund manager or a CEO watches that broadcast, they are not looking at the data. They are subconsciously analyzing your biometric signal. They see your steady gaze. They hear the slow, deliberate, unshakable cadence of your voice. They recognize the undeniable biological signature of an apex operator who has entirely mastered their internal heart. They realize that if they hire you, they are not just hiring a manager, they are acquiring an impenetrable organizational shield. They will pay a massive, unreasonable premium for your bandwidth because you possess the one thing their money cannot buy: absolute grace under fire. Look closely at how you responded to your last corporate crisis. Did your heart race? Did you lose sleep? Did you spend days trying to recover your resilience? If so, your biological hardware is running an obsolete operating system. The 2026 market will crush you because it does not have time for you to recover. Stop managing stress, stop enduring the damage, decode your neural loop, deploy the algorithmic intercept, value stream map your trigger, and rewrite the code that governs your biology. Master your neural mechanics, broadcast your unshakable sovereignty, and watch your competition collapse while you ascend. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at the top.